today we're going to review the iPhones from a photographer's perspective because I'm a working photographer. We use it for our work all the time, so I have a lot of strong opinions. But first things first, this whole video is being shot on the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max, except for this one overhead shot, because it's just a pain to set up that rig. For this talking headshot of me in the studio, I'm using Blackmagic camera to record, mounting it to my tripod with the Stalman clamp, and over to my right I'm using an iPad to monitor myself wirelessly through Blackmagic because you can remote control it. And usually when you see me sitting here, I'm using the Canon C70, which is a professional cinema camera. And I think once I've added my LUTs to the Apple log, it matches pretty well to my big professional camera. Every year, I want my phone to have the absolute best cameras available in it, so I use the Pro, and most of the samples in this video were shot on the Pro. But I did get to spend time with the iPhone 17 and the iPhone Air as well. So we'll start off with some of the features that are common across all three of these cameras. Now here's something I've been wanting to say every year for a while now. The selfie camera is probably the biggest camera update of the year. All of the new phones announced, from the base model to the best model, all have the same selfie camera, and it's excellent. It uses a square sensor, which is something I've been begging for on social media for years now. The advantage here is now you can take vertical or horizontal photos or videos without changing the orientation that you're holding your phone. So generally, I don't shoot most of my YouTube videos on the iPhone. When I do, I rarely use the selfie lens. It always feels compromised. Like, you can tell I'm not using one of the good lenses. There's less dynamic range, more noise, and it's usually not as sharp. So this video is going to be a little bit of an experiment. I'm going to shoot way more on the selfie lens, see how it looks. And best of all, I can hold the phone vertically like I am right now and still get a horizontal image. Apple's using what they've branded Center Stage, which is available on the iPhones and iPads, but I think it's best implemented here on the phone. When you're doing a FaceTime call, for example, it'll track your face. It has an ultra wide lens so it can see everything in the frame. But I did find when I was taking selfies, it wasn't great at detecting the people in the background and going wider when it was supposed to. I mean, maybe I'd get used to it if I left it on, but I quickly turned it off because it was just not doing a great job, and I'd rather rotate the image when I want to or make it wider when there's people there. I can do that all by myself. But for people that don't want to make those decisions, hopefully it'll help them out a bit. And the square sensor would be exciting on its own, but for creators, people that actually care about the image quality coming out of those selfies, it's also a much larger sensor, and you can see it in the results. The 18 megapixels close some of the gap from the big cameras on the back of your phone so that your selfies are a little more similar in image quality. And if we really want to pixel peep at a test here, this is in pretty low light. Not a great shooting situation. If I zoom in, you can really see the chart cleans up a lot on the iPhone 17. When I look at these details up close, what I really appreciate, even more than the improved detail, is the lack of noise. If we just kind of look at some of these emptier sections, there can really be some strong banding in the iPhone 16 selfie camera, where the 17 cleans it up a lot. And whatever phone you're upgrading from, you're going to enjoy this benefit because we haven't seen an upgrade to the selfie camera in years. So everyone benefits from this. There's one new feature I want to show you that isn't exactly tied to the iPhone. It's actually something in iOS 26 and in AirPods. There's the new AirPods 3. Right now you're hearing me through the microphone on the iPhone, which is usually great, but I'm really far away right now. But check this out. These are the AirPods Pro 3, and they're connected directly to the camera app via Bluetooth, and they sound pretty good. So if you ever have a need for wireless microphones, you don't want to like pick up a pair of DJIs or you don't have them with you, which I actually forgot today, so I kind of need to use these. All of a sudden we have this opening where we could be as close or as far away from our camera as we want. iOS 26 brings a complete redesign to the whole interface of the phone, but most importantly for us, the camera app. So things do look quite different here. I'll do some tutorials later about how to navigate it. But overall, I'd say that this new simplified approach is a welcome change. By default, you only see photo and video down at the bottom, and you actually have to swipe to see the others. If I can make one critique, I'd like all these others to be permanently hideable. Like, I'd never go into portrait mode because you can always change your image to a portrait afterwards. Or on the 17 and 17 Pro, I'd also hide the spatial feature because now AI can take your normal 2D photos and figure out how to make them spatial, which is very convincing. I'm glad to see that Apple's completely keeping generative AI out of the camera app because that way we know a photo is still the photo that you took. But I really wish they'd added some verification technology, something like C2PA, so you would know when a photo has been modified. I'm also surprised they didn't make any changes to cleanup in the Photos app. It still works all right, like it can remove things, but it's just not nearly as good as a lot of the competition. And although I don't want to see Apple get too far into generative AI, this is one tool that's just really practical for everybody. So I at least want it to be great, and it's not yet. Now, turning to the main camera, we haven't seen any big updates this year. There's some differences happening in the background. The photonic engine has seen an update, but it's kind of hard to spot exactly what has changed there. The iPhone 17 and the iPhone Air share the same main camera, which is excellent. It's 48 megapixels, very good. It is a step behind what the Pro is offering, but a lot of people probably won't see the difference. And if you are choosing the Air for its super slim body, which is very impressive, the trade-off is that you're losing the ultra-wide lens from the 17. And another update across the lineup is all of the screens have been improved. They're virtually the same now, except different sizes. So that means they go up to 3,000 nits of brightness in daylight, which is very impressive. That is a lot of nits. That would be an expensive professional video monitor to get 3,000 nits out of it. And the iPhone 17 and the Air now support ProMotion, which is 120 hertz refresh rate. That doesn't actually affect your photos and videos. It's more the interface as you're scrolling, but it looks nicer, and once you're used to it, you probably won't want to go back. So that's all I've got to say about the 17 and the Air. Let's talk about the Pro. The main camera, the 1X, was not updated this year. So it's the same as in the 16 Pro and the 15 Pro. Very excellent sensor, it served us well, but we're not seeing any big changes there. But if you didn't see my reviews over the last 2 years, just to catch you up on a few things, it will bin photos down to 24 megapixels. That's what it actually will save your HEIF images to, which is excellent. By reducing the resolution, you're saving on disk space, and 24 is more than enough for most people. The way that I like to shoot is go into my camera settings, go down to formats, and you're going to want to turn on ProRAW and resolution control, and the best setting is JPEG lossy. This just means that the DNGs, which is the raw file format, are way smaller with a more efficient compression codec. They're not worse quality. You don't lose any of the detail in your photo. You still have all the flexibility of RAW, but it's a fraction of the size. This was a huge update last year to the 16 Pro. It lets you shoot RAW way more often. I've been doing it and I get a lot more results that I like. All of these RAW photos are edited in Lightroom with my presets, and they completely strip away all of that iPhone sharpening and processing that you might be used to, and that drives me crazy. That's why I like to shoot in RAW, because it stops looking like a phone and looks like a real camera. To do some real-world testing for the 17 Pro, we brought it out to the Rocky Mountains. So I'm out for a hike today with Derek.
Hello.
And you hike and trek all over the world shooting photos on your iPhone.
That's what I do.
So where did you go for your last trip?
I was in Pakistan for a month, and I did use the phone almost exclusively for photography that didn't involve any zooming, because my zoom on this phone is only 3 times.
Well, so then what makes you choose the phone when you're going on these trips?
It's just the convenience of it.
Sure.
I can just reach, take it out, take a photo. With my SLR, I have to stop, take it out of my backpack. It just involves way too much.
Well, and I've seen your backpacks. They are already fully loaded with everything you need to eat and camp and survive.
And you know, when you're hiking in those kind of places, sometimes it's not even feasible to stop because it might be steep, or the terrain is difficult, or you're roped up with someone and they're moving, so it's not easy to just stop and take the camera out. So the phone makes it very, very easy.
You're using which phone to shoot these?
14 Pro Max.
So today we've got the iPhone 17 Pro, and I just want to kind of show you the difference to see if you think it's worth upgrading.
Sure.
So let's just take a look at the comparison here. So first of all, you've got a 3x zoom.
Yes.
And this is a 4x. I don't know if that would be enough to upgrade. Like, it's not a lot more reach necessarily.
Yes.
If I were to encourage you to upgrade at all, it's because as you zoom in, there's just more detail. And that's because this is a much larger sensor.
Yeah, I can see that. Does it also have a larger wide angle, or?
Compared to yours, you will get an upgraded 48 megapixel wide angle.
Okay, well, that's good too.
So if anybody wants to see more of Derek's photography, it's on thetrekblog.com, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much.
There's something I've got to clear up, and I might have to clear it up over and over again, because Apple has started to confuse people by their usage of the term optical quality. I hear it all over. Even people that know cameras don't know, like, why is Apple saying optical quality? They don't lie about their features, but it clearly only has 3 lenses. So why do they say there's 20 of them, or whatever? I don't remember how many they said there are. It would be more accurate to call this a digital crop, and they are doing some machine learning to improve the quality. So if you tap on the 2x or the 8x, it will look better than what Photoshop would do if you just cropped in on your own. In fact, I tested that, so I'm here in Photoshop, and this image is on the new 4X lens, and if we zoom in, we can compare it directly to what the 8X looks like. So this is Apple's crop, this is a normal digital crop. And the difference probably isn't jumping out at you. Here's 4, here's 8. I'm gonna zoom in more. Here's 4, here's 8. So they are cleaning it up. Let's do a little more pixel peeping. Let's look really close. This is the 3X lens on the 15 Pro. Here's the 5X on the 16 Pro, and the new 4X on the 17 Pro. Let's do that again. iPhone 15, iPhone 16, iPhone 17. I don't see a giant difference here. There is a difference, but I was kind of hoping for more because the sensor did get quite a bit bigger. I think I found where you can really see the detail improvement though. If we go to a lower light environment, here's the 15, here's the 17. This looks much better to me. It cleans up a lot of the noise. So if you're in adverse conditions at all, the image will be much cleaner and that detail will come out. Let's zoom in a bit more. So I want you to really look at the noise on the yellow. Here's the 15, here's the 17. 15, 17. The noise totally goes away, and this will reflect everything about the quality of your images. It's going to make a difference. And when I posted my reaction video showing off the 17 for the first time, a lot of people were asking, does the Stalman clamp for professional filmmakers still fit on the iPhone 17 Pro? I'm glad to report it does. It fits great. I actually thought there would be a problem here, and there isn't. It does start to get tight if you're using the 17 Pro Max with a larger case. Then you might have trouble getting the USB port into the bottom. We're going to work on trying to improve that, but if you don't use a case, the Pro Max will be totally fine. If vertical video is not your thing, and this is a debut for the channel, I haven't even announced this till now, we have a horizontal version, a standard version of the Stalman clamp available. This one is a lot smaller, still has the Arca Swiss base plate, all the mounting points. We used it a lot in the production of this video, and if you want to check it out, you can find it on B&H, Amazon, or there's a link in the description below. Overall, I'm really happy with this new 4x zoom. It's equivalent to 100 millimeters, which is just more of a normal focal length for photography. The extra reach of that 5x often meant that you were too far away from your subject. I think about photographer needs in two categories. Basically, you want to either see something that's across the street and you just like want to read a sign, or you want to take a great image and the compression of a longer lens can really help make it more beautiful. That's what the 4x zoom is better for. And hey, if you want to digitally crop in to 8x to read that sign across the street, now you can. But I had one other test I wanted to run with that 8x zoom. Now we're gonna do one of my favorite tests. Actually, we're testing two things. Recording on the AirPods, and this is using voice isolation mode because we're out in the city streets. So let's see what it sounds like if any cars drive by. But what I really wanna see is on the iPhone 17 Pro, we now have this 4x zoom lens. Let's see what action mode can do with it. So I'm just gonna zoom in and walk as steadily as I can, which, I mean, it's kind of steady. It's not that steady. I mean, it looks really shaky right now. And here's what the screen recording looks like. So shaky, right? This has to be unusable. Well, now when we see the final product with action mode applied, it is shockingly stable. You get that incredible Michael Bay shot, but now we can go even further because on the iPhone 17 Pro, we have 8x zoom as well. Let's go try again and see if it works. All right, so now we're zooming to 8. That's the furthest we've ever had on an iPhone. Let's try to be steady. Nope, I don't think this is very stable. Action mode saved me. Once again, Apple's stabilization is amazing. It's combining lens stabilization with some very heavy software stabilization for this amazing effect. But most of the time, you don't need to turn on action mode. It will do a great job if you just use the regular camera the way that it is. If you can say stable or you're recording a wider angle shot, don't turn on action mode because you do lose some image quality when you do it. So now all three of the back cameras are 48 megapixels, which is great. Just having uniformity, like you know you're getting the maximum quality out of all of them. The ultra wide was not updated. When they did upgrade that 0.5 lens, it's better. The pixels are there, but I'm still hoping for more. It's not a large sensor. It's not great in low light. I think it can get better. But one thing it's amazing at is macro. I love the macro mode on these cameras. Always have, no complaints there. Last year, we saw a new feature called photographic styles, and what this really does, the best part, is that it lets you take out a lot of the tone mapping and basically like increase some of the contrast of the images so you don't have those lifted blacks. Makes it look more like a real camera. Now they've introduced a new one called Bright, and I actually kind of love it. I don't know if it's going to be my go-to. I think I'm going to keep it on amber, which I would generally turn down to tone -50 and color +30, but this new Bright is definitely my second favorite. I'm going to try it some more. There are some big hardware updates on the 17 Pro to the thermals of the phone. First of all, it's all made of aluminum, which is supposed to cool faster, and Apple was very excited about the new vapor chamber that they've installed. Unfortunately, my tests didn't show me anything at all. I tried a few things indoors, but what happens to me is that in the summer, the screen overheats when you're outdoors and you're shooting too much. I just couldn't get them to overheat in the environment that I was in, so I don't know if this was improved. While we were at Apple, though, they did have one of the best hands-on briefings that they've given us. Like, usually we sit down on a couch or around a table and they tell us the new features and we can ask some questions. But this time, it was a lot more hands-on. They showed us some of the real-life durability testing, which especially was interesting to see on the iPhone Air. I was really impressed by how much it could handle. We also got to see the 17 Pro completely torn apart, including the vapor chamber, which we were able to dip into hot water, feel how quickly it heats and cools. It was impressive. And they also showed us a thermal time lapse. Something I noticed in the announcement is how much the new video features were really focused on professionals. And I mean high-end professionals. Like, if I think about the pro universe, there's like a triangle, right? And most people take a lot of photos and videos, but they don't need the professional features. Then above that, there's like creators, like TikTokers, Instagrammers, that maybe don't even care about the gear they're using. They just want to use their phone, get stories online. Then there's the more dedicated creators, people that maybe do interviews, YouTube, things that are a bit more technical and complicated. And then there is Hollywood commercials, like there's a big camera crew, there's a team working on something. And that's who a lot of these new features were for, which is really cool. I think probably some of them trickled out because of 28 years later that was completely shot on iPhone and looked amazing. And then there was Genlock, which for those who need it, like this is a very legitimate feature. It'd especially be useful if you're syncing up a lot of multicams, or let's say you're trying to connect your camera to a big volume, like the projection screen in the background, so that they can talk to each other and stay perfectly in sync. You probably aren't doing that. Most of us aren't. By the way, anybody that was hoping for 8K on these cameras, that is not a professional feature. Not on a small sensor like this. It would not be providing any useful additional detail, and I really just hope it doesn't show up until the sensors are much bigger. It's useful on a Red camera, it's not useful on a phone. An update that we got in the iPhone 15 Pro was Apple Log, and that has been the reason that Apple's keynotes can be shot on the iPhone, why these movies can look like movies. Apple Log is the secret to all of it. And they announced Apple Log 2, which we don't have all the details on yet. I did see that in DaVinci Resolve. It is available, and it looks like it is a color space. I'll dig into the details in future videos, but I have a feeling it'll just refine their color pipeline more. And it might mean that I need to update my LUTs, which, you know, they can give you very cinematic colors like you've been seeing throughout this video, but now I'm gonna have to do some new ones. So coming soon. We also have dual camera mode built into the default camera app now. So you can show what you're looking at and your reaction to it all at once. If you move the box around, it saves that animation. I like that there's motion blur that is also saved into the file. Is this gonna be useful? You tell me. Now the question I see most in the comments, should you upgrade? This is always a very personal thing. It depends on your budget, depends on the phone you have now, but here's my little guide to who should upgrade to what. If you use the selfie camera a lot, regardless of your old iPhone, it might be worth the upgrade. This is the biggest update we've ever seen to that camera, and it does make it much more useful than it was before. If you really care about your phone photography and you want results that look like a real camera, I'd recommend anybody with the 15 Pro or older, it could be worth upgrading. Because of that lossy DNG that we got last year in the 16, it lets those files be so much smaller, and with some quick processing in Lightroom, they just look like a normal camera. I mean, that sounds simple, but you know what I mean, right? Like when it scrapes away that HDR processing and you have a more traditional tonal response, I just love that look and I think it's worth it. And if you shoot a lot of video on your iPhone, you want it to look like the movies with Apple Log, you're gonna need at least an iPhone 15 Pro or newer. So anyone with 14, might think about upgrading. I hope you're subscribed so you can learn how to get the most out of the camera app. That's another year of iPhones. I'll see you guys in the next video.